I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time up here, but I wanted to introduce Jack Ganeri, and he is also known as Jersey Jack. I'm real excited to be attending this presentation as well, as I've ordered my machine, so I'm looking forward to it. And Jack's also been gracious enough to not only have his seminar today, but to feed you guys right after the seminar.
They didn't taste the pizza yet, so.
All right.
Well, thank you. Thanks again, Paul. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. And I made myself a few notes so I don't go wandering around talking like a monkey in a tree. I see everybody wearing Jersey Jack shirts, which is really cool. Whole families and everything. It's so much fun for me because this year it's not last year. Is the obvious. So last year was kind of like a dream in a way to say some crazy guy with a funny accent up north, one of those Yankees, is going to start a company and he's going to build pinball machines. And Steve, you can sit right in the front if you want. You can come up here and sit right here. That's my buddy, Steve Ritchie. That's my buddy. And you should be in the front. You belong in the front. You're the king. So a year ago, I had this crazy idea, what would seem to say, well, we're going to build a pinball machine, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do a lot of other things. And luckily there were enough people, many in this audience, that believed. It was like religion. So you believed without seeing anything. And then I appreciate that, and I appreciate the reputation that we've built over the years and the confidence that everybody's placed in me and my team and all of us and what we're doing. And, when I think about it in a way, and friends of mine outside the industry kind of find out, what's this pinball thing and Jersey Jack and you're doing Wizard of Oz and how did that come about? And, well, you're going to build this game and who are you going to sell them to? Well, we already got more than 1,000 games sold. Really? So it proved to me, again, that a community can build a pinball machine, and what you really did was you believed in me, you believed in our people, you believed in what we were doing, and you believed in the future of pinball, because that's what we're really working on. We're bringing the game, no disrespect to Steve or anybody else, but we're bringing the game into the 21st century with a lot of different things that haven't been done before or haven't been done in a long time. And I've said it before, we're really creating something that you don't even know you want yet. And that's a really cool thing, and that's kind of what the secret, what Apple did, if you think about it in a way. Who really knew, and I've said this before, who really knew they needed an iPad until they got an iPad? And probably if we asked our customers, or if Henry Ford, let's say, asked his customers what they wanted, they would have told them, well, we want a faster horse. They wouldn't have told them, well, we want something with a motor in it and we want to drive around. So it's not going to be so radical that you're going to look at it and say, this is not a pinball machine. Today I'll show you some pictures of some things too. I'll talk for a little bit, we'll do a question and answer, and we're going to eat, and I'm flying up to Milwaukee right after this to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic, because for some reason, those guys don't understand that you have a show this weekend. And I don't know what's the matter with them. This year I found myself in the interesting position of sponsoring that show because the people that were sponsoring it before just decided they don't care about pinball and they don't want to sponsor the show, so I'll sponsor the show. So if they decide they don't want to do anything with any other show, I'll go to my wallet and we'll sponsor that show too. The good thing is next year at this show, I completely expect to see a dozen Wizard of Oz games, that you guys are playing on the tournament downstairs. Let me check my notes to see how far off I was from what I wanted to start with. I want to thank, Ed Van Der Veen and all his people, Paul McKinney. Ed's wife picked me up yesterday, Kim, at the airport. Somebody pulled up with a car that said Stern Pinball on it and was waiting me to get in, and I wouldn't get in. I don't know where they were going to take me. But I didn't get in the car, so I waited for Kim. The bad thing was I didn't know what she looked like, and unfortunately they know what I look like because there's pictures on websites and stuff like that. So I'm at a great disadvantage. To all of those of you that have come up to me and said really nice things to me, which everybody said, you know, in all different ways, shape, and form, I really appreciate it. I'm really not understanding the historical part of this because I'm not interested in that right now. We're just trying to build a game. So people have asked me, you know, there's been the most asked questions and the number one and the number two and number three. So the most asked question is, when are we going to see the game? Did you bring the game with you? What's game number two? If you knew everything you knew now a year ago, would you have done this again? And can I order my game now for my second game and start paying you? So I'll try to just quickly answer a couple of those silly questions. Oh, and is Steve Ritchie going to come work for you? That's another one that I've done. So some of them I can answer and some of them I can't. You know, game two, we licensed the game for game two. It's going to be December of 2013. We're officially not announcing it. I think it's kind of a silly thing to talk about game number two when you didn't finish game number one yet. My wife Joanne reminds me, don't get too cocky because you didn't build anything yet. But now that she's actually seen us build a couple of games, she stopped saying that to me too. So that's kind of a good thing. She keeps me grounded and keeps me in reality, which is a wonderful thing. One of the things, you know, that I always think about every day, and people say to me, you know, you have a lot of pressure on you, and is anything bothering you with this whole process, and you know, do you get a little overwhelmed and all that? And thankfully, being in this business and in the industry for 36 years, on the commercial side of the industry, I have two lives. I have a commercial side of my life, and I have my wacky, me, collector, geeky, freaky, you know, way of loving pinball, as all of us that we share. So I don't look at it that way. I give every day to God, and I really thank God for everything that I've been able to do. I've been very fortunate, and I missed the party last night that some of my friends had in New Jersey, and you know, they know, this guy, what is he doing all weekend? You mean he's flying around the country like playing pinball? Where do I sign up for that job? You know, how do I get to be that guy? You know, and I've been very lucky and I've been very blessed to be in the industry all this time and still now getting to start a whole new company and create something. And I think for me personally, you know, the journey has been the reward for me. And there's been a lot of days where, you know, things didn't go right. We had issues with different things. We still have issues with things. But, you know, if it was easy, the whole thing would be everybody would be doing it. And they're not. But, you know, when you're positive and you have faith and you take negative things and you take lemons and turn them into lemonade and lemon meringue pie and all of that other stuff, people look and they also feel good and they feel that they believe, too, that you can do something. And a lot of people doubted us. We had vendors in the beginning that we went to, and we said to some of the vendors, well, maybe we want you to make these parts. And certain vendors received letters a year ago telling them basically, well, if you do business with that company, you probably won't do business with this company. So some of those vendors were scared out of doing business with us. So what we did was, what an entrepreneur does, you go over and under and through and around any obstacle that's put in your way. And we put people in business. We actually have people that invested tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to do business with us. We have companies that went out, hired people, bought equipment, bought machinery, made commitments. We have our cabinet company. The guy bought a tractor trailer and he's outfitting it with fixtures to transport 90 cabinets every week to our building in Lakewood, and the whole tractor trailer is going to be painted with the Jersey Jack logo. I mean, are you kidding me? Really? Really? Yeah, really. In fact, today, his truck is meeting my truck in the middle of Cleveland somewhere at a pilot truck stop, and they're transferring 25 cabinets from his truck to my truck today. And, you know, I look in the building and I see what we've done, and I see all the people, and every week we add more people to the company, and the payroll goes up a little bit, but I see things happen, and I see games and pause. Stock in Apple is going to go down. That's on the iPhone 8. You're going to be able to do that. That's pretty funny. So, you know, it's been really good. What I wanted to do also today was just give you a little bit of where we were from a year ago to today. I'm not talking about pieces of furniture and stools.
Just answer it.
You know, that's another thing. A lot of people call me because my phone number is, you know, on shirts and different things and on the website and everything. And the old joke was, you know, people call me, and I talked to a guy the other day for like 20 minutes about the game and all details and everything. He was asking a million questions, which is fine. And I'm talking to him, and the guy says, you know, when you talk to Jack, tell him, I know he's busy, but, you know, just tell him that, you know, we're behind him and we're all excited and everything. I says, you've been talking to Jack. Wow, oh my God, you know, if I knew it was you, I wouldn't waste your time with this. Go back to work, go get that game done. What the hell are you answering the phone for? You know, you don't even answer the phone. So I just took his advice, you know. So I didn't answer the phone. There's some seats in the front. There's some seats around. If you got a seat next to you, put your hand up. You guys don't have to stand. Yeah, you can come on in. The room only holds like 30 or 40 people. So this is a lot of mirrors in here to make me feel good that there's everybody here. So it's kind of cool. So, you know, a year ago, I stood up here. I think the room was arranged differently. I think it was the same room. I think the seats were that way. Now I got a voicemail here, which we can listen to. Who the heck that is? I don't know who that is. I think that's my electrician now that I think of it. That's it. Okay, we're going to try to keep that in the right place? Okay, good. We have a priest that wears one of these things, and the guy talks up and he puts it here, and nobody could hear him do the mass, except when he looks down to do the blessing of everybody. Father Tom, you know, you got to, he's like 80 years old. Father Tom, you got to put the thing up there. It's like, it's okay. If they hear it, they know what I'm saying anyway. Okay, so we will not do that. Voice robot. So a year ago, I was really happy to have Rick Bartlett from Planetary Pinball here and Matt Cristiano, and we announced what I thought would be a great thing, like an alliance with them, to have the rights to use Bally Williams parts, because I wasn't dumb enough to realize that I can't make my own parts. I want the greatest parts from the greatest games, in my opinion, was Bally Williams. So we got the rights to them and 40 patents and everything that goes along with that. And what I thought we were getting was all these really great drawings. And what turned out, it is a great agreement with them, and they're great people. Matt and Rick, wonderful people. And there's been a lot of things that we've created that they're able to sell and use now in the marketplace, and I'll get to that in a minute or two. But the drawings that they had were kind of not what you needed today to give to vendors. Some of them weren't complete, some of them needed to be translated, and Joe Balser and, you know, even Brian Hansen and people on our team, Joe did the lion's share of it, but he created more than 600 drawings for all kinds of parts. And a lot of these parts, what happened to them is they were brought up to today, what today we believe they should be. So a lot of them really become Jersey Jack Pinball proprietary parts to us. while we didn't go and play around with the flipper coil and say, well, we can make something better than Williams, you know, the first game we knew was going to be the hardest because you're doing all that. So in the second game, Joe's not going to have to do 600 drawings, you know, but it was important to document everything. Everything we've done, we've protected everything. So when we created our I/O board, for example, and we used through-hole, let's call it technology. So through-hole technology, chips and sockets, things that are easily serviceable. It's because, you know, we have several hundred years worth of experience, you know, believe it or not, between all of us in pinball repair. So last year somebody stood up here and they said, well, me and Steve are the only people in the whole building that know how to build a pinball machine. And while I didn't take that personal, you know, okay, I've been fixing pinball machines since 1975, and I certainly, as an electronics technician, I certainly am able to know what goes into building a pinball machine. I surrounded myself with experts that knew a lot more than me because I like to be the dumbest guy in the room, and I like to learn. So yes, in a year's time, we've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot. Would I do everything exactly the same? Nobody would do everything exactly the same. I would have bought more Apple stock a year ago, and I would have done a couple of things differently. But overall, we really, I don't want to say this to jinx us, but we really didn't fall in too many potholes that were too deep to get out of. And, you know, it really didn't hold us back. I'd love to be able to show you the artwork for the playfield right now, but we're having some little creative differences about, and I never thought I'd say this, the Munchkins are giving me trouble.